Let's rock and roll it.
Let's rock and roll. That's how we're starting the episode. Oh my goodness. I am Kristin Louise, and this is my friend Nicole Curtis. And thank you for joining us today on the fourth episode of The Up. It is crazy to say that because it feels like I've known Nicole so long, and I have. We've been on other podcasts together. We've done a lot of
We
other
have.
things together, and we've had, I don't, how many online lives? Let's just start it here, Nicole. How many online
Oh,
lives do you think we've had together? I think it's at least four. I think we've at least lived four
oh
different
yeah.
versions of ourselves online, if not more.
If probably more. I would say a little bit more. I would say maybe like 6 or 10.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning there, it was a lot.
It was a little shaky. It was a shaky start. I'm not gonna lie to you all. In honor of Nicole, I'm gonna periodically hold up this chicken, because Nicole is the crazy chicken lady.
I am the crazy chicken lady.
And we're gonna get into all of it. But the best part, I think, about this entire coming full circle moment of us living online for years together is Nicole now lives 1 hour from me. In
I
all places,
do.
of all places you could live, you moved to Missouri.
I
And
know.
I want to know why. I want to know the story.
Because we wanted to get out of this. So we lived in, so I'm born and raised in Michigan my whole life. Michigander is what they used to call
Oh,
me.
do they really say that?
They do. They do. And um so where we lived, we lived a little bit outside of the city in the country, and it just kept getting built up and built up. And I'm a small town country girl at heart. I love I love the country, the fresh air, the woods. I love to
Yeah.
hunt, fish, all the things, kayak, camp. And my husband does too, my family does. So we wanted to move for a really, really, really long time. And that fear of, well, what if? Like, what if it doesn't work out? What if we make the wrong decision? Right.
Right.
So for probably about 8 years, my husband and I always had it like every couple years, we'd be like, okay, this year's the year we're gonna move, and we just never did it. But we moved to Missouri. So we moved to Rosebud, Missouri. It's a
It's
it's
so
a
funny.
town.
I'm sorry.
It's a town of 425 people. I kid you not.
God bless
We're
it.
in the middle of nowhere. I mean, we do have some neighbors, but like they're not, there's quite a bit of space.
You can't
But
really see
we
their houses. Like I've been to
no,
Nicole's house and you can't really see the other houses.
no, we have like 13 acres and we have a whole bunch of freaking chickens. And
Yes,
I
you
have
do.
so many feathered friends. I love them.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I
So
love
yeah,
it.
that's why. So we basically were it was either going to be Missouri or Kentucky, honestly. And we just did research in different areas of where we wanted of population and just all the things, right? I think it's
Right.
really important before you move that you research where you're moving to.
Agree.
And Rosebud just kind of came up. And so my husband put an app in and we got asked to come down for an interview. So the whole family came down. And that weekend, we just looked at houses and we put an offer on a house on the last day we were going to be leaving. And then 30 days later, we're here.
Honestly, I know Nicole so well. So I feel like if you're listening to this, you're going to have to just jump into our friendship because I know her so well, but like she does nothing at a slow speed. So
No,
it doesn't surprise me at all. Like to hear
nope.
her say, yeah, we came down, he put an app in, and then we bought a house the next day. And then we
Yep.
did this, and then now I do this. I mean, just because the entire time I've known Nicole, that has been the spirit of her life.
I
There's
have
been
no sit.
no sit and no chill, and like me too, and that's why we get along because there's nothing that either one of us could say to each other. I mean, a few weeks ago we had a pretty emotional Zoom. We were catching up with each other and I had a lot to share with Nicole, but just nothing. We've had a lot of those actually in the last five
We
to
have
six
a lot
years
of those. Hmm.
and there's nothing that we could share with each other that would surprise each other at this point.
No.
And I feel like that is very sacred and very rare. And that's one of the biggest things that I just appreciate, where I could just ask her, be like, hey, I just want to record this podcast episode with you on a Saturday afternoon. And she's like, yeah, what do you
Let's
want from me?
go.
Like
Let's
one of
do
my
this
favorite
thing.
things for real though. And like one of my favorite things when we first met was just like your fearlessness. And I've been in the
Aw.
marketing world for a long time. It's true though. I've been in the marketing world for a really long time. And before we met online, because Nicole and I met online, guys, it wasn't a dating app,
Yeah.
but we met online. And before we did that, I'd been in the marketing world already for probably 10 years. So I've been doing things, I've been on camera and I've just seen it all as far as like influencers, I hate the word, but
Yeah.
creators, whatever,
Yeah.
businesses. And there's people that come in your path and you're like, oh, I don't have to do a darn thing. Like that person just already does everything. Like they don't. And so when we met, we were on this team of creative women working together.
Mhm.
And I was just like, Nicole knows exactly who she is, what you did. And it's exactly what you just said. Like there was no shtick. There was no, a lot of times, I won't say every time, but a lot of times online, you come across people and you're like, is that real or is that not real?
Yeah.
And like you are one of the real ones, like 100%,
Aw.
which is
Well,
why we've just
it's taken a lot of work.
it's hard. And honestly, like that's the conversation today, really. We're going to talk
Mhm.
about some fun stuff we're doing together, but like I think our hearts are both, especially after our emotional Zoom we had last time, like our hearts are both in this to help other women. Like at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I mean, I want to help any human. It's not just about women, but like specifically our
Mhm.
hearts are to help women.
Mhm.
Because being a woman is so many different levels of crazy. Like
Yes.
you
Crazy
get
and
through
messy.
crazy and messy, and like you get through one thing and you're like, oh, bless you, God, thank you, God, like thank you, Lord. And then all of a sudden you get smacked in the head with something else. And again, I think this could
Yep.
be something that happens to men too. But I think women talk about it and process it together, and that's what kind of
Mhm.
makes us different. And so
Mhm.
when Nicole and I met online in this group of ladies, and we're all trying to be authentic marketers and do the right thing, and it was just like amazing because everybody else I'm like having to pull this out of. I'm like really having to try to pull what they are and figure it out.
Yeah.
But Nicole just always absolutely knew and is the same exact person then as now. And it's really cool story how God has worked in both of our lives, and especially the fact that we live like within an hour away. Like that's so
Yeah.
cool. And
Yeah.
I would never think anybody would move to Missouri, and here you are happy to do it.
Totally. We're absolutely loving it. We
Yeah.
love the quiet, the peace. But we're coming up 2 years that we moved here, which
Yeah,
is just
it's wild.
crazy to think
Yeah.
about in July. And I remember when we first moved here, like Kristen, you didn't even know I moved
Yeah, for like
until
a
I
month.
met,
Yeah.
yeah, until I messaged you. I'm like, so hey, I moved and I'm in Missouri. And then like 3 months later, we met.
Yeah.
Like I
It's
drove
so
to
crazy.
I drove to you so we could meet for the first time, but we knew each other for like
For like 4 years
three
at
or
that
four
point. Yeah.
years. Yeah, right. So we had the online relationship, and then
Right.
it was such a cool moment just to be able to
It
like hug
was.
you in
Yes.
person and be like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And
it's been fun.
to know that people exist the same way that you see them on a screen is really
Yeah,
important to me.
yeah.
Because I just think I've been in the game so long, I've seen it all. And so I want people to know, like, if you hung out with me, like if you were here, Nicole has slept on my couch over here, okay?
Yes, I
Like
have.
she's passed out in my basement multiple times now. And like you're gonna be here playing the same that's what she said game, and like drinking the same wine coolers and like having the same conversation that we're having right now. And that's really important, like that it exists on the same level. And I
Yeah,
want other people to meet their people online. Again,
yeah,
we're not talking about a dating app, but whether that is like a community, like Nicole's going to talk about the community that she's in right now, but also just however you're showing up presently in social media, period. You don't have to be a creator, you don't have to be an influencer, you don't have to own a business to be yourself online and to show
yeah.
up for other people. And
Mhm.
so a big part of my story, we kind of talked about how we met, and it was really fun, especially like thinking about the pool party we had when you first came over here, and like how wild and crazy that was. I'm going to put a picture so just so you guys know in the show promo. It
Yeah,
was a
it's
really good
fun.
time. But thinking about those memories is really fun. That was pre me being a mother, so fun times. But past that, I just think about why I do what I do and why I pushed myself to get back online, because you and I both had periods of time where we weren't doing anything on the internet.
Mhm.
It will literally burn you into the ground if you let it, just like everything.
Yeah,
I mean, any
yep.
job that you could have in this world will burn you into the ground if you don't have good boundaries, if you're not doing it for
Mhm.
the right reasons. And so I believe, knowing as much as I do about you too, I think a lot of that for both of us is our faith in Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Mhm.
And the fact that we don't hide that.
Yep.
A lot of people, marketing people, those crazy marketers, they'll give you advice and they'll be like, you want to be more for everybody. So don't say things that are going to exclude anybody. So if they don't believe in God, that would exclude them.
Mhm.
And that's just not something that I'm comfortable with. ever. I haven't ever been comfortable not sharing that part of myself. And I think that's a huge reason why both you and I connected, but then why we continue to maintain like who we are in social media, and we're the same here and there. So,
well, I wouldn't be where I am or who I am without him.
right. And it's been a rocky road, has it not? I mean, it's not been perfect. And that's one thing as I have these conversations. I just came back online like a few months ago, like I think March, maybe February, March. And as I mean, I was always talking to Nicole. Nicole and I are friends in real life, just so everybody knows. So like if I say I just came back online, like we're friends in real life. But like when that happened and people were like, well, I wondered what had happened to you. One of the challenges that I gave them was like, if you wondered, why didn't you reach out? Because we wait for people to tell us who they are without asking. And I like to be able to control my own narrative. And I wanted to be able to do the inner work where if I wanted to come back and have a presence again, I wanted to do it exactly how it was supposed to be done and in the image of God. That was like my end game. Like, I don't care what I'm talking about, as long as that's involved, I will do it. And so I waited until I felt like I had that on my heart and in my calling. And I feel like the result was really positive. And one of the coolest things, I think, just segueing right into our next topic, one of the coolest things about doing that was I had a really cool conversation with Nicole. She came and went to a like women's ministry event with me like last fall. And we had a little half price Applebee's appetizer, pour your heart out dinner afterward. And
it was so fun.
It was so fun. And like, it's just so nourishing to be with people that you love and accept you and that you can just say anything to. And so I was just kind of pouring my heart out about like, here's where I'm at, like, here's the recent things that I'm going through. And here's what I want to do, but I really don't know how I'm going to get there. Like, I don't have a time frame on it. And the old Kristin would have always had all the answers. I would have never told you, I don't have a time frame. I don't have a plan. I don't know what I'm going to do. The old version of me would have been like, and here's the plan, and here's the strategy. And we're going to have this many views by this time, because that's exactly who I was. And it is hard for me to sit here and like say things because it doesn't sound like myself. But I think the biggest takeaway from me in like the last 6 months of my life is that I didn't actually know myself. I was just trying to control my entire life. And I've never been in control of my life. And it took me 36 years, I guess, to figure that one out. So if you're listening and you're younger than that and you haven't figured that out, or even if you're older, that would be a takeaway from the episode. But one of the coolest things that aligned when I had this big half price appetizer feast with Nicole, was Nicole had recently just figured out what she really wanted to do. Like, you were just like getting started kind of in this new path and restarting almost in the last, like, what was it, year to 2 years?
Yeah.
Because you had just started like working part-time for She Rises, I believe, in the last, when did you start working part-time?
Well,
been 2 years.
So I started part-time in November. Oh, actually, it'll be almost 4 years. November.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Time is just flying by. I was just
It
telling
really is.
Kristin off camera, excuse me, my son is going to be 16 in October. Like, that's just nuts. But yes, time is flying. So
yes, guys, she has a 16-year-old. Like, if
I
you're
have a
actually doing the
16-year-old,
math over there.
and
Yeah.
and my daughter will be 19 in July.
God
So
bless
it's
it.
just
America.
crazy. Oh my gosh. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes. So I've been with She
4
Rises
years.
Studios since November 21 of 2021.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's like, it's crazy to me that our paths intersect and you guys are just starting to do multimedia stuff and like really getting like new things involved at that time. And I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of ready to do a couple of things, but I don't know. And then God's timing is like the best timing, because within what, 3 months of that time, all of these things I would be interested in have opened up, and it has nothing to do with me. You know, like, I didn't open them up. I don't work at that company, but you just start shooting me these messages and I'm like, okay, God, like, I hear you. I see you. I see what's going on over here. And before you know it, we're literally going on a cruise together, which is wild and crazy. So
I'm so
you
excited. It's going to be super, super stoked. It's going to be awesome.
It's a very special thing in my life, and we will talk about it. But I want you to talk first about the She Rises community, what you're doing there, and just kind of opportunities to be involved.
Yeah. So for all of you that are watching or listening, so She Rises Studios, we're an empowered women's multi-digital marketing studio and publishing company. So it operated, owned, and ran by Hannah Levis and Adriana Luna Carlos. They're a mother-daughter duo. They live in Vegas. They started She Rises Studios in July of 2020 in the middle of pandemic because they wanted to create a space and environment where women could go to feel seen, heard, loved, valued, appreciated, because as we know, in 2020 is when the pandemic was happening. And they really just wanted to just create a community and just support other women that were going through financial struggles, family, relationship struggles, because as we know with the pandemic, we were in our houses. And so
Yes, we were.
some relationships may be strong and some not, right? I think us women, we were going through so many different emotions and so many different things that was what Hannah and Adriana wanted to create. And so they did. And since then, She Rises Studios, we have a podcast that is called the She Rises Studios podcast. And then since then, we've opened up Phoenix TV, which is a streaming app where you can have a TV show. It's on Roku, Apple TV. It streams in 120 countries. It's incredible. We also have the She Rises Studios magazines, which offers opportunities where you can be featured on the front cover, back cover. You can write in it as an article. And also with the publishing company, we have anthology book opportunities that you can partake in and you can join in. And it's just, I absolutely, the mission of She Rises Studios is to empower, inspire, and educate women. And I'm so aligned with that mission. The motto is She Rises, She Leads, She Lives, because before I joined She Rises Studios, how I got introduced to them was they interviewed me to be in their first anthology book, Becoming an Unstoppable Woman. And when they said yes to me and I was going through that process, I was already like, I owned a social media agency, but I was shifting into one-on-one coaching and really helping women step into their power, like claiming their power, but really also claiming their authenticity, like who they are as a woman and all of the things as who you are as a woman matters. Your message, your voice, your presence, your awareness, your worth, your respect, all of that. And I really felt empowered to help women find that, claim that, own it, and then move forward in it being who they were meant to be. And a lot of how I did that was through God's words. Like I literally, like every one-on-one client meeting I had, I would pray before my meeting that I had with my client. I said, Lord, put the words in my mouth that need to be spoken because it's not about me.
Right.
The glory goes to him. I'm a vessel. I'm a tool.
Absolutely.
And that's how I see myself every day. Like my motto when I wake up every morning is, Lord, let me be better today than I was yesterday in all things.
Yeah.
As a woman, as a wife, I'll be married 21 years in September, which is just crazy too. I'm 41.
Which I was gonna say, like, do you want to tell them how old you are? Because you don't have to, but it doesn't look like you've been married for 21 years. I'm just saying.
But I'm just like, Lord, just let me, in all things, as a woman, as a spouse, as a mom, in my community, in my friendships, in business, in the work that I do, because that's where my empowerment comes from him, as well as taking the responsibility to give myself permission to do it. I think that's a big key that I was missing. And then doing it. I think that was a big key that I was missing because I was always waiting for permission to be given to me. I was always waiting for it to be granted. And it's like, through Christ, he's really the only one that I need to look up to. He's really the only one that I need to listen to. And through that, I can say yes to myself in moving forward. I don't have to wait for, like, when I was in corporate America, I don't have to wait for my bosses. I don't have to wait for I don't have to wait for my spouse. I don't have to wait for my friends. I don't have to wait for my community members.
Right.
Like I don't have to sit back and just hope and pray and wait, because that's not what God wants. So I think for me, stepping with that empowerment and becoming that unstoppable woman, for me, really started when I claimed my power through taking that responsibility, giving myself that permission. And then the next step was for really walking through the different steps of self-awareness, self-reflection, and self-forgiveness was a huge one for me, because us women are so easy to belittle ourselves. We're so easy to let that doubt and fear kick in. It's so easy for us to self-sabotage how we look, how we are on the inside, what
Yes.
we're doing, why we're doing it. Is this okay? Is it not okay? What if I'm doing it wrong? Why can't I just do it like she can? Why does she have what I don't have? Right? It's just, there's all of these things. And so that self-permission, that self-forgiveness, excuse me, was huge for me to walk through that.
Yeah.
Was huge, was one of the biggest things, one of the most transformational things through my faith that I have ever experienced in my life.
And the
And
crazy thing
I
is,
remember the moment it happened. I remember the moment to this day of when that came to light. And then when I started in that journey of claiming my power, owning it, and taking that responsibility to show up in it and to give my 100% in it every day. And I still do that today.
and a new life was formed.
Yeah.
You
And
know what I mean?
yeah, but I do want to make sure for anyone that's listening or watching, there is no such thing as perfection. We are all imperfectly imperfect. So when I say that I show up every day and I'm continuing to do that, I'm not perfect in that. There's
No.
moments where I have that self-pity willow wallow party where I just have all of, because life, we go through mountains and hills and valleys, and
Absolutely.
we have yucks, right? But it's in those yucks, those are really where you need to show up the most. That's really where you need to move forward and press forward. And in that is through Christ. That's the only thing I can say that has helped me overcome obstacles, mountains, valleys, pits.
It's
Because I've
true.
been in some dark pits, let me tell you what.
Amen. And we're not going to get into the pits today, and it's not because they don't
Nope.
exist, but it's only because we have a limited time.
Yeah.
But I would love to do another episode in the future. Like, if you're listening, I would love to hear your feedback on this episode. It's a brand new podcast, so I'm still trying to navigate what it's going to be, like how
Yeah.
we're going to move forward. But like, I would love to talk about some of those things in the future, because the valleys are what make the mountaintops
Mhm.
sweet.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have the specific valleys, I wouldn't be where I am with
Yep.
Christ, and in
Mhm.
myself. I would not. There's
Amen.
100% sure, like 100%.
Yep.
So I do want to talk about that another time. I did my last podcast episode on comparison,
Mm.
and it's a bear, isn't it?
Mhm. Mhm.
And you spoke a lot to that. You guys are probably seeing why I had Nicole on because you're just so passionate.
Sorry, I just get fired up.
No, I
I'm
don't. No
I I
sorries here.
I'm here to serve, support, help any way that I can. Like that is just my heart, it's my soul. It's I don't know. It's just I don't know. That's just who I am. I
If
can't
you
help
guys
it.
haven't had the experience, so Nicole and I have both had the experience. So let us just put this word in your ear. If you haven't had the experience of God being able to use you to your potential and how he created you, it's really cool when that starts happening. And you're like, wow, okay, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. This is what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how.
Yeah.
And it's because we gave away the power and control in our life and
Yeah.
we let God take the lead. And
Yep.
that's a scary, scary thing. I'm not going to
It
lie to
is.
you. A big part of my story, and one reason why I pushed to record this episode today, and I'm springing this on Nicole, not that she doesn't know it happened, but 1 year ago today is when I went to the hospital with my appendectomy and I almost died. And you talk about fear of God.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of the night. I basically, the short version of the story for everybody is it was late and I was alone at the hospital. My husband was, home with our daughter. And I went in thinking I was having kidney stones or something. I didn't know exactly what was going on. I mean, there was pain, but I didn't imagine in my wildest dreams it was an actual appendicitis situation. And before long, they're wheeling me back for emergency surgery. It's like one of the worst cases they've ever seen. And then I'm hospitalized for 8 days. So many complications ensued. To be hospitalized after a routine procedure like that is kind of nuts.
Yeah.
In the modern world, to be hospitalized for 8 days felt like prison.
Hmm.
Um, and I understand people do endure worse than that all of the time, but this was very sudden and it definitely
Hmm.
shook my life up. And it
Hmm.
shook my life up to the point of me thinking about like, what would my own funeral be like?
Yeah.
And because at 36, you're not really actively planning any funerals, like
Hmm.
you're not really thinking about that. And, I have a young daughter and I'm just like, oh, gosh, who would come to my funeral? What would it be
Hmm.
like? What would they, and that sounds morbid.
It's so crazy that you're bringing this up because so Ethan had the same thing.
Really? He's
He
way
did.
too
It
young.
didn't.
He's way too young for this.
I thought I told you this. Oh my gosh, maybe I didn't.
So what happened?
Um,
I don't think you did.
his appendix burst, and I brought him in. And he had to have emergency surgery because he had. So they did it, and the doctor came out. So my son was 15 at this time.
Right.
This was Halloween. It happened.
Wow.
He had gangrene
Well, I knew
and
that. Yeah, I knew
yeah,
that part.
he had all the things, and he ended up having a tube in his nose,
Yeah, feeding tube. Yep.
like to pump his stomach out. But he was in the hospital for 10 days. And so so why I'm saying this is because he was asking some of these questions to me, like what you were just saying.
Wow. I did not
Because
realize that
Ethan
part.
Ethan is huge in his faith.
He
Like
is.
he reads the Bible every day. He works out. Like
Yeah.
he's a disciplined teenager. I don't know where he gets that from. He makes his bed every morning. He's like, Mom, you know what it means when you make
Oh.
your bed every morning. I'm like, oh my goodness,
Oh.
this boy.
Yeah.
But like he was, I remember sitting on his bed and he's crying and he's scared, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, he's in his faith and he's reading the Bible and he's learning and asking questions and stuff. Like he's 15, right?
Yeah.
But like just having that fear of what if I don't make it? Like, Mom, am I
Yeah.
gonna die? Like,
Right.
and so I only say that because you bring it up and it's it's hard when you're going through something like that to be strong in your faith, to
It
then
is.
sometimes not sit back and be like, well, why? Why is this
Yeah.
happening? Why are you allowing this? What, all those different questions
Yeah.
that he was bringing up, like, why would God do this to me, Mom? Right? Or
Right.
why am I going through this? Or Mom, am I going to make it? So I didn't mean to cut you off with
No,
it,
no.
but I just I don't know. I had goosebumps. I had goosies when you were talking about that. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy because that's how Ethan was.
Well, Nicole knows this, but you guys might not know this. I do a lot of writing most mornings. I do a lot of
Yeah.
journaling and writing, which is crazy because now we're writing books, but like real ones that people will read. But I do a lot of
Yeah.
writing just for my own benefit and processing. And today's writing was really special because it is 1 year from when that happened.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what writing is going to be super
Mm.
special for me. Oh, I'll tell you what writing is going to be super special for me is in 4 days because that's going to be the anniversary of the day that I let God control my life.
Mm.
And that was in the hospital alone. I was binging a Netflix series,
Mm.
and I just remember like, use me, lead
Mm.
me. I'm not ready to go.
Mhm.
Don't take me. Like, just use me.
Mhm.
And when you do that
Mhm.
and you have that
Yeah.
real moment, a
Yeah.
lot of really cool stuff is going to happen to you, but it is going to be hard. Like to refine yourself and transform at that
Yeah.
level is a challenge and it will
It
take
is.
you as low as you can go. And I can
Mhm.
say that because I went there recently, but it will also completely shuffle the cards of your life. It'll
Mhm.
shuffle the deck. And my biggest prayer last summer was, Lord, please just bring the people that are supposed to stay with me in this season closer. And the
Mhm.
ones that have left me, bring them back around if they're supposed to be back around, but let everybody else go because I have to be
Yeah.
focused if I'm going to do what
Yeah.
you've put on my heart. And here we are a year
Mm.
later, and a lot has changed.
Mhm.
And so when we were talking about Nicole and I's, I knew you'd do the podcast with me for sure, but we were talking about everything that we could share. I
Oh
really
my
wanted
gosh, there's
to
so many things.
Oh yeah, we could probably do 8. And I mean, honestly, it'd be easy to slam them out too, because we
We
just
could do
like
a whole season.
we could have a show or whatever. But the point of today's is really to just talk
Mm.
about letting God lead your life and bring
Yeah.
the right people around, which Nicole's a great example. Through Nicole, I then
Mm,
got connected to She Rises. Through She Rises, I'm now going to be writing my first solo book, plus many other things, because they got me
mm-hmm.
connected and asked me to do so many other cool opportunities, reopen some stuff for me. Like, I'm so grateful, guys. For me, it was easy to feel irrelevant at like 36, and like I had lost myself a little bit in motherhood. And I'm trying not to get super emotional, but I think most women do. I think when your
Mm-hmm.
kids are little, it's easy to just focus everything on them and be the mom that you think you're supposed to be. And
Yep.
especially during a pandemic. Okay,
Yeah.
that was a weird plot twist. But past that, and I hang out with a lot of moms. I only work part-time for anybody who doesn't know that about me. I only just work part-time right now until my daughter's in preschool this fall. So I've been balancing a lot of different plates and it feels exhausting. Like that's the story of
Yeah.
many people in this world. It's not just me, but it is my story. So the biggest thing is like when you let God control your life and you don't have to wait till you're in a hospital on the floor on your knees to do this, okay? Like anybody
Mm-hmm.
could do this at any time. It could be
Yep.
powerful for you today. It would be equally as powerful for you if you feel the call in 4 months. It could still happen to you in 10 years. I mean, everybody's life is going to change and progress differently. But what I
Mm-hmm.
want to call to everybody's attention is when you actually take the step of faith and not just saying, yeah, I was baptized. Yeah, I believe in God. Yeah, I'm in the Bible study. Yeah, I serve at my church. Like, all those things are fantastic. Like, great. I do those things. But when you actually take the step of just, Lord, lead me, guide me, use me. And
Mm-hmm.
when I would wake up, I was so confused because I'm such a planner. I wanted to be in control of my schedule, but I couldn't be because he was using me in a variety of ways. And I didn't know
Yeah.
what those would be. And it becomes a thank you for waking me up in the morning. Now tell me what we're doing.
Yeah.
And when you rely that closely on any person, I mean, I think of God
Mm-hmm.
as Jesus is my homeboy, we're hanging out together every day. And when you rely closely on someone like that, that's when they can lead you and that's when you can be transformed.
Yeah.
And that's available to everybody. Don't wait until you almost die. Don't miss it.
Right. Yeah.
Seriously, it's worth everything and it's going to feel painful and it's going to feel uncomfortable. And honestly, for
Mm-hmm.
me, I'm still going through some of the uncomfortable. I
Yeah.
really am. It's not a perfect journey, as you said. I thought you said it very well, but it's reconnected us. It's brought me amazing
Mm-hmm.
opportunities. We're going to take a cruise together in October. I mean, what the what? Like
Oh, and
so cool.
and
And
the Empower Her Content Day is
yes, oh
September
yes,
21 in LA.
in LA. Mhm.
Empower Her Content Day. What does that mean? It's a day where we all come together as a community. You can surround yourself with like-minded other women. We're gonna have vendors, we have sponsors, speakers. We have the She Rise Studios
We're both
podcasting
going
is
to be
gonna be
there.
there. Yes. And
You can
we're
meet us.
both in a docu-series, and
Yep.
so we are able to go there and shoot our docu-series live if we want to. But so yeah, so if you want to come to Empower Her Content Day, I can give Kristen the
Yes.
info and she can put it
I
in the
will
show notes.
absolutely. I will
Or
put it all in the notes.
if you're interested in like publishing opportunities with some anthology books, what that looks like or what that means, being in our magazine. So all of our anthology books and our magazines are printed in 13 countries.
Which is so
So
cool.
you're you're internationally marketed.
Yeah.
Like
Without
you're
doing it
writing
yourself.
your bit right, your yourself, your business, your
Yeah.
brand, whatever that looks like, right? Like
Yeah.
it's so yeah. So if you're interested in any or Phoenix TV or anything like that, I'll give Kristen my email
Yeah,
and she can
for
put it
sure.
in there. You guys can email me, but
There's so many
yeah.
things to get involved in, and there's so much that we could talk about. So we'll
She Rises Studios
definitely,
community. Yeah, like there's
yeah,
so many things.
there are, but we'll have Nicole back. Nicole will be back because this is
Oh,
just the
yay!
beginning of the story. I mean,
I
this
would
really
love
is.
it.
But what I want to leave it with is May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So
Yes.
when I went to start the podcast, that was something I wasn't quite ready to start it. Like I didn't have everything 100%. But when I thought about my calling, it was definitely to talk about my mental health struggles and experiences
Mhm.
on this earth. And so there was many people that came to mind, but one of the people that just like the whatever it takes attitude, like going to get it done and is going to smile through it, which is hard, but that's just definitely you. So thank you for coming and just talking.
Aw, darling.
It is. It is. I wouldn't lie. I could not tell a lie.
You're such a
So
sweetheart.
thank you for coming on, and
Absolutely.
we'll do more episodes, and we'll do you'll be seeing us cruise together. You'll be
Cool.
seeing us go to LA together. I mean, everybody can follow along.
Yep.
But thank you. And like
Aw, thank
honestly,
you.
for everybody else, jump into the She Rises Studios community because it's a group that I'm in on Facebook, and it is free and it is fantastic. So thank you
Oh,
so much, Nicole.
thank
And
you. Thank you
now
for
we
having
will
me.
be eager for the next time. We'll leave them
Yay.
wanting more. And everybody, this is under 40 minutes. You're welcome. Love you. Bye.
Bye.